Chico's gonna give you what? Rev is gonna give you what? Ben is gonna give you what? All three are gonna give you the Big D. Chico's gonna give you what? Rev is gonna give you what? Ben is gonna give you what? All three are gonna give you the Big D. Chico, Rev, and Ben, yep, they're at it again. Breaking down the team, putting stats up in your head. Nothing left unsaid, they're leaving it all on the field. Just like the favorite team, raising 2 cups and with shield. The knowledge is a real for a trio so true to representing the gray, red, white, and blue. And you love them too, that you can't deny. So just one time, let me hear Dallas till I die. Chico's gonna give you what? Rev is gonna give you what? Ben is gonna give you what? All three are gonna give you the Big D. Chico's gonna give you what? Rev is gonna give you what? Ben is gonna give you what? All three are gonna give you the Big D. Soccer podcast?
Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Big D After Dark. And hey, after a pretty miserable last week, we're excited to have some good news to talk about, including a busy All-Star week for Ricardo Pepi, a big decision and his first call-up to the United States men's national team as well, and then a beatdown in Austin by our incredible boys from Frisco. A brace from Pepi, a brace from Jesus, a goal from Obrian. It was a fun match to watch as FC Dallas took it to Austin, right? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what's coming up and the latest transfer news tonight on Big D After Dark. All right, we're live. We are live and excited to have you join us this evening. Excited to have you join us for Big D After Dark. My name is Nathan.
You forgot your name?
Yeah, and so what happens when I do multiple things at once? I'm Nathan. Welcome to Big D After Dark. You can follow me at Nathan J. Hill on Twitter. There in the middle, our buddy Ben Lyon at Bird Turgler. Say hello, Ben.
Hello, Ben.
There
Thanks for cueing me so I knew what my name was.
That's good. And there on the end, Jose Carmona at El Chico Carmona.
Hello.
Repping some Badgers gear today. All right.
All right. Go Badgers.
But hey, you all who are watching are part of the show too. You can type in your little comments, your reactions, your questions about FC Dallas. We will include them. They will shape the conversation in the show. So let's get to it. And of course, you can always catch our podcast wherever you find podcasts, and stay up that way and listen to the audio version. Well, let's get. Last week we talked about a tough week, 1 point from 3 matches for FC Dallas. This week, a really great week for FC Dallas, and a great week for U.S. soccer, perhaps. Of course, we'll see. Nothing's ever certain. But, of course, Ricardo Pepi took a lot of headlines this week. He got called up to his first All-Star game, participated in the Skills Challenge, did pretty well, and then scored the winning PK as the MLS All-Stars beat Liga MX's All-Stars. And a fun little match. I did not get to watch it. Of course, the All-Star game lost interest for me a long time ago, but hey, I watched the highlights. But then, more importantly, FC Dallas travels down to Austin for the first time in Austin's shiny new stadium and commence a beatdown, a beautiful beatdown. That was really, the game was over by the end of the first half, but Austin rallied a bit and made something of it a little bit, but FC Dallas was in control. Right.
Garbage goals.
That's right. So let's get to it. Let's get to this week. Ben, what stood out to you for this week as an FC Dallas fan?
No Brian Acosta this week, so we got to see the glorious return of Brandon Cervania to the lineup. You know, where you been all year? And I mean, like he looked pretty mobile. Had himself a nice little game. You know, I mean, it's obviously Pepi has like the ultimate hype train week. He won team player of the week for the entire league this week. But I mean, it was interesting to see Brandon Cervania pop up for me, because uh, we're gonna need him for the next couple of weeks for one, and two, I mean, he was pretty promising in 2019. The COVID year did him wrong as well, so maybe he's breaking out of his sophomore slump. I mean, that could end up being a really big deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Jose,
I
what about
agree
you?
with the whole Cervania thing. I mean, nobody said, "Oh my God, they're starting Cervania," and hit the panic button. Everybody was like, "Hey, like Ben said, where has he been?" And of course he comes out there and reminds us why he should be probably getting more playing time. He somehow got lost in the shuffle, with all the veterans in front of him. So hopefully this means that he'll be getting more minutes, because I mean he looked great out there, and let's face it, that was two homegrowns there, playing at the six there, and they look great, Cirio Cervania. Yeah, I think that the whole Pepi hype has elevated the team, is the way I see it. All the young players have been elevated, and I mean, when your striker is in form, you just have more confidence that if you just get the ball in the right spot, good things will happen. And that's exactly what we saw. And you saw Pepi reward and Jesus reward their teammates for getting the ball to them. I mean, that just picks up the whole team. Very exciting times.
It does. It looks the team looks a lot better when you have someone who can score, someone who gets into dangerous spots,
And finishes.
and just is clinical, just an assassin. I mean, no hesitation. He just makes it look so easy. The kid is special. He really is, and to see him grow, we've seen flashes of it. We've seen it with North Texas, of course, but it's just something else.
Yeah, and also Jesus is capable of much more. And to see him also start, let's not forget that he missed playing time early, and he's probably a player who's just now getting into his best form. So, I mean, seeing Jesus, who should have had a hat trick, by the way,
right.
Against Los Verdes out there, I mean, wow. I mean, I'm more excited about that, in all honesty. I mean, I think we all knew that if Pepi, given the playing time, would produce, and he's made us all look good with that prediction. But seeing Chewy get going, wow, that's something we desperately needed. We needed more options, more attacking options. And let's not forget about Shun, who continues to ball out, 6 assists in 8 matches. Yeah, that's the kind of production you want from the wing.
Well, and the thing, I want to pick up on the Cervania piece too. I appreciate you naming that right off the bat, because what I like about Cervania, and I've always liked, is where Cirio is more defensive. Edwin is definitely, and I think just traditionally it's probably the role he's played and gravitated to, and maybe he can add more of an offensive ability to his game, but he tends to stay in the back. But Cervania has just a better balance. Like, Cervania is not gonna do the Brian Acosta blast into the 50th row of the seats. I think Cervania is a little more patient on the ball and has just much better final third attacking sensibilities to find some space, because he almost, I think,
decision making,
yeah, like, just, and he has a natural he has a lot of experience with Jesus and Ricardo, and so I love the idea of him there because I just have always loved. I remember, I think last season or 2 seasons ago, he had a nice tap in, and again, I think in Minnesota, if I remember correctly. And so, it was just that kind of stuff. Like, he just has the sensibility to make runs. It's exciting. So I hope we see more of him.
He had a brace against Minnesota. He had 2 goals.
Yeah, that's it.
And they stiffed him on both goal celebrations.
He just brings something different to the midfield, and I don't see that necessarily from Brian Acosta. I think Quinone, I don't think we see it from him because I think he's more like the surreal role, which is fine. We need those kind of players too. So for me, it is something about getting those right mix of players. Slovenia, he came in, and it wasn't like he'd been missing from the lineup at all. It worked pretty well. Of course, it's against Austin FC. They're at work in progress, but it was a good thing. It was a good thing to see. Any hype over, does it elevate FC Dallas if Pepi, really surges in his senior men's national team career? Does it elevate this franchise if he goes and starts to score in the World Cup qualifying stages? What do you guys think?
Man, I am really interested to see what happens when he goes out there for that first run of qualifying. Like if he goes out and tears it up after the U.S. missed the World Cup last time, are people around town going to start to notice? Because people nationally, they notice FC Dallas. They know what they're all about and really excited about it, and internationally as well. But within the greater Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex, aside from the diehards, it's crickets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it will. I think if he goes out there and stays in form, continues his run of form, yes, absolutely, he can come back and the team can know that they have that centerpiece to lean on, because you can have bad games, but if you've got a guy that can finish and is good for a couple of goals, it can keep you in games that you would otherwise not win. And Dallas is going to need a lot of that going forward. And at the same time, these are all young kids. Look at our attack. You got Shun, Chuy, Pepi, and you had Cyril and Slovenia out there. That's a very young team out there that you're counting on to produce goals, and they're doing it. Is there a better young attack in MLS? I don't think anyone's ever actually asked that. Most other attacks rely on DPs and veteran players. There's very few teams where you look across the board and O'Brien's your senior most guy in the attack, and he's the worst of the bunch. And he's what, like 23, 24?
Mm-hmm.
And he's the old guy.
He's 26. Grandpa O'Brien.
Well, 26. I keep thinking he's younger. But yeah, I think you're right. He's 26, and that's old on this team,
Well, that's because he's so small. He has to shop in the little boys section.
But the rest of the attack is 18 to 21. So
yeah, it's something
amazing.
Hey, we got a question here from our buddy Hawk.
You gotta ask him how to.
Yeah, how do you want to say it? But all right, but what's the over under on Ricarte seeing any more minutes before we dump him from his loan? Seems like he's in Moses Hernandez kind of heat with Lucci. But yeah, we talked a little bit about this last week as sort of that. Yeah, it's just not working out.
Yeah.
Well, I think once the game became a 5-1 blowout in the second half, his chances of entering the game suddenly became pretty academic. Like, you're going to shut it down. You're going to bring in defensive-minded players first. With Pepi going out, there's going to be some forward minutes coming up, and I would really like to see Jesus push up to the 9 and Andres Ricarte drop in behind him.
And I'm gonna, throw some water on that. Sorry, Ben, but the truth is that a road game against a beatable opponent like Austin would have been the perfect situation to start Ricarte, considering all the people we were missing. You think a veteran presence would have been required, but instead you get Cirillo, you get Slovenia, who we hadn't seen play all year, ahead of Ricarte, and that speaks volumes to me that I think Ricarte is no matter how much we like him or how much he's shown, that he's really on the outs. Maybe he's not healthy and we're not being told that he's not healthy. That we've seen this before where players have been hurt and we sit here and wonder why they're not getting playing time, and then the opposition shows up and it's like, oh, someone's getting surgery. So we don't know what's going on, but what's obvious is that Ricarte is not being counted on. He's not being leaned on, and I would be stunned if he starts, even with Pepi gone. I think that's going to Jara. I know Ben doesn't want to hear that, but you got a $3 million guy in your bench, and the guy that's keeping him out of the starting lineup is gone. You're gonna have to start him, and this is why I'm saying that it's very good to see that Chewy is getting in gear, because I think he can still provide us some goals.
You don't have to start him though. You absolutely don't have to start him. And there's already like tons of evidence that you're just basically giving away points starting him.
Well, this is true. This is true.
0.37.5 points per game.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that the way Harris getting more minutes than Ricarte, and that's not going to change.
I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. You hate Hara and start anyone but Hara. I'm just telling you.
You know what? I like Hara because he's robbing the club of more money than they paid a player in forever. He's a freaking genius, but I don't like him playing. I don't like him starting because you know what happens when they start? He starts. The team loses.
Uh-huh.
They don't. Yeah, they can't afford to start him right now. They're trying to claw their way back into playoff position. Starting Hara this weekend would be a huge mistake.
In all honesty, it's not starting Pepi is what causes the team to lose. So any way you slice it, whether you start Ricarte or Hara, you're still looking at a potential loss because Pepi isn't there.
No. There's games where they started together and they lost all those.
And mind you,
and Pepi didn't score because Hara is so bad that he drags down the rest of his teammates.
Okay, but can I remind you that Schoon's also going to be out? So I would tell you that if Ricarte starts, I wouldn't be shocked if he's played out of position, like at the wing or something like that. Or it's going to be something odd because we've got several missing players. And who do you start? Are you going to start El Medkehar? I think he might get his first start. I wouldn't be shocked if he
yeah, because Sealy is on loan. He's gone on loan. Likely won't be back. It is getting thin out there on the wings. Vargas is getting called up too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good time for Paxton to get back healthy.
It's a good time to recall Nicky Hernandez also. So I'm curious to see what Lucci's going to do with all these absences, because he's going to have to get creative in attack, and there's room for both Ricarte and Hara to start, believe it or not.
No, there's not. not if you want a result.
I'm kind of with Ben that Hara has got to come off the bench. Now he probably gets a start. I think Lucci probably doesn't have much of an excuse to tell him, sorry,
And that's just it. The point is you have an excuse when Pepi's here. Say, hey, sorry, he's playing better than you. But what's your excuse when Pepi's gone?
Hey, Lucci, if you need an excuse, call me. I'll just broadcast it right now. The game's at altitude, and you want to preserve Hara's legs and fitness for the crucial dying moments of the game, and instead of wearing him out in the first 45 minutes. So, I strongly suggest you don't start Hara because you're not going to get more than a half out of him, and it's while the other team is fresh, and like they can run backwards faster than he can run forward. So yeah, wait until the last 20 minutes of the game.
All right. Well, hey, look, let's shift our conversation a little bit. We're going to get into if there was one negative about this week, it is just the continued defensive woes. Injuries have played a big part in that. But there's just these miscues of communication, of missed marking by center backs, by wing backs, by it's just difficult, and it marred an otherwise incredible offensive performance to let Austin FC kind of crawl back into it. First, let's listen to this quote from the post game. John Arnold asks Lucci kind of about this fun match, and hear Lucci's kind of response.
A quite basic and not at all tactical question. That was pretty fun, right? It's been a while since you guys had a game like that.
For you? No, for me, end result is fun for sure. But, in the moments, we talked at half. There's nothing, the first half doesn't mean anything now. It's about the second half. It's about urgency and pushing to win the second half and not relaxing. So I thought the guys showed that, and that's why we scored that next goal. And then, like the earlier question in Spanish, it was a 10-minute moment where they really pushed. We were having to make some adjustments because of guys needing to be subbed out, and it cost us some goals against. But I thought we reestablished organization, and for me, the open game is entertaining for the fan bases, but we want to make sure that at the end of the day we have more goals than them, and whether it's 1-0 or 5-4 or 5-3, but. Look, we got the job done, and have to be proud of both sides of the ball, because the goals did come from good pressing, from good defensive action. So, but we got to keep working. I thought we could have put the game away, and with taking some of our chances, but I'm glad we created them. The intentions were good. We got to keep working because we didn't, and we needed to close it in a different way. But we got the job done. So we got to grab that, rest, regroup, and build motivation and build hunger again for next.
Regroup and build hunger. But he talked, I think, about the 10 minutes there where the team kind of loses concentration. Of course, they had the opening goal, which the cameras weren't even ready for, and then Austin was able to come right back down and get a response, which was disappointing. I think on one hand, is this part of is this the downside of a young team, that you're going to have guys like Tumasi out there and others who are just going to make some mistakes and grow and learn into it? Or is this a reality of with the defense giving up 3 goals, losing some concentration, the squad losing some organization? Is it just a matter of not having the right personnel out there, not having your best starting 11, or tired legs, or what? What do you guys think is up with sort of these? If there's one thing for the team to fix and work on, it's still sharpening up the defense. What's your take on what will fix that?
Is the game was over. It was 5-1. I doubt that even a veteran team doesn't take their foot off the gas. And let's face it, the Dallas looked tired. So a combination of, hey guys, the game's over, we're tired. So I think a little complacency settles in. The only really bad goal, as far as I'm concerned, was the first one they allowed when the game was still, a toss up, and that was basically more to do with them finding a weakness in the set piece defending, because they managed to get their biggest guy to get marked by Schoen. And then Schoen loses him. And honestly, the only bad thing he did all game, as far as I'm concerned. But even had he not lost him, I mean, that was still a mismatch. They found a mismatch. in the Dallas defense, and that's the one thing that you can coach. As far as the other two goals, like I said, I dare any team to not take their foot off the gas once they're up 5-1. You know, and mind you, they made those goals look so easy that you're thinking, who cares if we get up another goal? We can just probably score another one, which they almost did. You know, so I think it's more complacency. It's a young team. That's going to be an issue with a young team. You know, they celebrate. They're like, okay, this game's over. Let's just see it out, and that's what I call it. But at the same time, good for Lucci because he can basically take those goals and say, see, you have faults that we need to fix this. So coachable situation. So it's a win for Lucci. He gets a big win, and he gets a big teachable moments.
Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether, if they stop scoring after goal number 2, whether Austin comes back or not. It's really hard to say. I think they would have tightened things up a little bit more. But, I mean, there hadn't been a lot of continuity on the defense. I still think, you're better off with Justin Shea on the right than Tomasi, even though I think Tomasi had a pretty good game against Austin. Although, with that first goal, he could have been out there to close out Zolmanic a little bit better, or Zolmanic. And that maybe he wouldn't have, had all day to put it on a platter for Cascante. But yeah, I mean, going forward, they're going to need a little continuity on the back line and in their central midfield, because I mean it just hadn't been there at all this year. Slovenia is the 25th different player to start a game this year, by the way. Yeah. So
almost like my FM games.
Well,
start a lot of players.
And our buddy Hoach here says that, and it's something Lucci has identified before that maybe his learning, which is, the subs, when to sub. That Lucci shows that he needs some growth there to kind of sense when the team, be a little more proactive or a little more aggressive when the team, that getting the subs right is part of his learning curve. So, it may be a whole mix of things. I mean, I think Matt Hedges not being able to go the full 90, I don't know if that was just precautionary, if that's just he's not fully fit, or you're just trying to get both guys, Jose and him, and Hedges some minutes and get them going again. Or ultimately, if the question is who's going to be the right back, the back four that's going to lead this team to success.
I wanted to actually expand on that. With all the offensive pieces missing coming up, I would not be shocked if we see the return of the 3-man backline, which, if you recall, that's exactly what the team finished with this match. And I think that's a preview. I think you're going to see the 3-man backline this next match, because that's where the strength is right now. Even though Jose and Matt may not be 100%, you can still start Justin Shea, you can still start Tafari. I mean, I would not be shocked if that's what they roll out this next match. 3-man back line with your two wing your two wing backs, and that's what I expect. I mean, that's where your strength is really. You're with a dual sixes. Yeah, I that's what I'm expecting. Think about it. That the strength is all there in the sixes and the back lines.
Oh, that'll be interesting to see. It is an option out there. Well, let's talk about Justin Shea. I mean, he's healthy, got back in the game, and we love to see him on the right. He was really good there. Kind of won the job from Munjoma until he got injured. But now the rumor is that Bayern Munich is coming back and and working on a deal with FC Dallas. I mean, the downside of this, of course, is that the transfer window has closed, I think, for Dallas, for MLS teams. And so there's not a lot of option to go out and add some folks. Maybe they can add a homegrown player or something like that, but I'm not even sure about that. But of course, this is a win for Justin. He wants to go. Bayern wants him, and the deal might be around £2 million, and I'm sure there'll be a clause in there that Dallas keeps 50%.
I thought it was €2 million.
€2 million. Sorry, thank you. Did I say pounds? All right. €2 million. Yeah, so about 2.3 million in US dollars. But I'm sure there's going to be a clause in there, like where FC Dallas keeps a stake in him. So yeah, what's our gut on this? Is he too precious to let go right now, or is it just like, hey, the Dallas will say next man up?
My guess. I've actually heard two separate rumors. The more prominent one is the €2 million, but I have actually heard other rumor that states €5 million. So my guess is 2 million is what Bayern is offering, and 5 million is what Dallas wants. So honestly, if that's the case, it's very likely that Dallas is looking for something along the lines of 2.5 million, and they get to keep 50%. That's what's hanging this up. Dallas is trying to nail down a big percentage of Justin, and I don't think it happens. I don't think he leaves. I think it makes more sense for him to move in the winter. Everyone in Bayern is pretty much saying the same thing, that this makes more sense for them to wait till the winter to move him, because the stated goal is if this goes through and Che moves to Bayern, he's going to be playing with their Bayern 2 team, which is a drop. It's a drop from MLS. He's gonna get more experience at a higher level, staying in Dallas till the end of the season than he is being with Bayern, where he's gonna basically be in the fourth division. So my guess is maybe if it does happen, it'll be a buy and loan him back to you to the end of the year type of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And also, of course, with Hedges and Jose not yet 100%, and we're not certain if they will be ever. Why would you let Che go? You need him.
And missing Nelson too. Nelson is shut down for the season, it sounds like.
Well, it's lingering thing, and I was wondering why Munjoma had been getting playing time at left back with North Texas, and I mean that explains it all right there.
Mm-hmm.
Because who's behind Nelson? Who's behind Nelson? Who's behind Hollingshead? If Hollingshead goes down, who starts at left back?
Mm-hmm.
Your best left back is gonna be what, Waldeck or Kazu, the North Texas guys, or you get someone like Schoen to play there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's tough. It's getting a little thin back there with the injuries. No idea when Brasana's coming back. Maybe in a week or two. So I think our buddy Hocher is saying, we aren't making the playoffs in all likelihood, so why not sell Che and they start to develop someone else?
I say that's nonsense.
I mean, if that's the calculation, sure, sell him.
Only a point out of the playoffs, and if they can survive on the road, I've said it before, if they can stay within 6 points going into the final stretch of the season, when they end on a huge home run, mind you. So no, Dallas is not out of the playoffs. They're middle of the pack. They're jockeying for position. It may even come down to the past couple of weeks, but they'll be one of the teams that has a shot to sneak into the playoffs. And if they keep getting a draw, if they go to RSL and get a draw, and if they keep, let's face it, was it 4-match unbeaten streak on the road, which is ridiculous considering how bad I'm telling you, I hear it from all the FCD fans are so negative. We're horrible. We're horrible. Lucci's horrible. Then how are they getting these results on the road? I don't care how horrible you think Houston is, Austin is. Dallas is not as horrible as those guys. And they did to Austin what they should have done to Houston, so they clearly learned from Houston. And they've been doing this while Hedges has been not 100%. He's missed games. Paxton's missed games. Jose has missed games. The number of players that have missed matches this season is up there. Jesus has missed games. Now, I'm telling you, this team is not as bad as I think FC Dallas fans are just so used to being negative that they're just ready to throw in the towel. 1 point out of the playoff spot.
Yeah.
Getting points on the road instead of home, and I think that'll change once they get back home. So I'm happy to see them getting points on the road. And yeah, I think other than the top 2-3 teams in the league, I think they can beat any of the rest of the teams or at least draw them.
I like your confidence, Ben. I want to hear from you on this on Che. If the timing's right, would you keep him if you were in the decision making shoes in this situation, or would you sell?
Jack up the price. He's only 17 years old. What are you kidding me? $2 million? He's already got 7 first division starts under his belt, and he would have more if he hadn't gotten hurt. So no, get bent, Bayern. If you really want him now, cough up.
I want to say that Bayern apparently is started talking because other teams have taken notice of Che, and apparently up to 3 or 4 other teams have inquired about his services. So it may just be that Bayern's basically saying, whoa, we need to head this off before any of these teams get serious. 2 of those teams are supposedly English Premier League teams who can afford to basically just buy anyone they want and loan them out. So, yeah, I mean, the fact that Che is getting drawing attention from other teams, I think this is what Bayern's getting the whole, we need to get him now, or come winter, they might get into bidding war for a player they don't want to get into bidding war for. The only thing they got going for them is that Justin Che wants to go to them.
Well, let's and what player wouldn't want to go and work in that great football setup there? Well, let's shift. Well, we're not going to do really predictions like score lines for the upcoming match at Real Salt Lake, because really at this point the team needs any points it can get. So a draw would be great. A win would be fantastic. Of course, a loss is realistic. It's tough. Real Salt Lake is a tough place to play, but it's not impossible. So they're also going through a coaching change. So who knows? Who knows who their coach will be? Mastroeni, or it could be someone else by this time. And who knows what that'll mean for the state of that team. But Real Salt Lake is in playoff position and are going to be a competitive match. So what are the unexpected storylines you think we could be talking about in a couple weeks? Keeping in mind all the unexpected storylines. I mean, the biggest of this season is our best center back has been Tafari. I mean, like, no one could have predicted that. He's been resilient. He's grown a lot. Slovenia was the unpredicted storyline from this last week of action for FC Dallas. Maybe Pepi was unexpected, but I think we knew this was coming one way or another. The kid has been too good. Are there others? Is there anything else you think we're going to look back in a week or two that we're going to say, hey, didn't expect that? So I stewed it with the guys. Hopefully they're coming up with something. What do you guys think? I think it's Slovenia. I think he is going to start again, and I think he's going to continue. And I think Lucci's going to have to think hard about how to get Quinones and Acosta back on the field when they're back and when they're ready. because I think Slovenia is gonna be the surprise second half season surge that Dallas also needs. What do you guys think?
How about a crazy punt? How about Benny Rezic scores a goal during the international break?
All right.
Makes his first team debut, scores his first goal. There you go.
I think what I'm expecting, which Ben will be happy to hear, I've already said that I think the thing is going to be the return of the three-man backline. But because I expect Dallas to play more defensively, I have a feeling that we'll see that lineup they ran before where they had no wings, and O'Brien starts up top as a sort of, we're going to bunker and counter over the top and use O'Brien's speed to try to catch them napping. And I think the pairing up top will be Jesus and O'Brien.
All right.
For that speed.
No Frank O'Hara? Oh man.
Not if you're looking to bunker and counter. You need speed, and I think that's what I'm envisioning is your two guys up top will be Jesus and O'Brien. And Ben's loving hearing this. Ben's like, yes, I will. Ben's like, I'll second that.
Here's an interesting thing to note. Two of O'Brien's goals have come off of long Felipe Megiolaro goal kicks this year.
Interesting.
He does have a powerful leg, and I think is a better distributor than Jimmy. No offense to Jimmy. I mean, he doesn't have quite the same kind of power and gift for delivering a 70-yard ball. Because few people do.
I'm glad Ben brings that up, because that's just why I'm gonna suggest that Jose will get a start, because Jose is capable of making that same pass, that long, accurate pass, and I think that's what you're gonna see. I think Jose starts, Matt starts, and Tafari starts. I wouldn't be surprised if Chase starts over Matt or Jose, but I think if you're gonna do a counter and bunker type deal on the road, you're gonna want that guy that can hit that long pass with accuracy, and I think Jose can do that.
And the Felipe story is another one we didn't really touch upon, but yeah, I mean, with Jimmy, I don't know. They said he picked up a knock in practice, so hopefully he's not out long. But nice to see Felipe get minutes too. An interesting story there. Could be an unexpected one. Yeah, I mean, if the 5-3-2, if the team can win, out of that, then I'm all for it, and I like that. I mean, if you go with Hara and O'Brien up top, it's sort of like having the tortoise and the hare like come to life, the ancient fable, right?
They do not pair well together. Like every time they play together, at the outset of the game, one or the other of them is always offsides.
Yeah, I was gonna say offsides.
Yeah. No.
I don't know how Hara can manage it with O'Brien out there, but he sure as hell does.
I think it does give. I mean, that setup does give Lucci the thing to say, hey, we're gonna go kind of defense first here away. So Hara, we want you to come on late and kind of push if we need to make up ground or get a goal, But I want, I can't bench Jesus. He just had a brace. I can't bench O'Brien. He just scored a goal. Like, we're going to have these guys come out and we'll bring you in later, So I think he can make that case. So we'll see. And it will, of course, depend on, their sort of the health of that back line and who's available and whatnot.
Please.
Yeah. It could be fun. I mean, we know the problem with the 5-3-2 when we've seen it is that the team has kind of struggled to put away chances, to make chances sometimes. So that'll be the big question mark. If they can have some success, then let's do it. Let's do it. And maybe it's the chance. I don't know. Well, it was a good show, good conversation tonight. Thank you, Hoach, for hanging with us tonight, asking some good questions and directing the conversation. And his last comments said Megalara looked super nervous playing out the back, though. A lot of pressure at one point, and they scored on us. Well, he's young, and I think he hasn't had a ton of minutes, so we'll see what happens. But hey, this was fun. I missed this one. Follows fails. The silver lining is that we could win a supporters trophy in Copa Tejas this season.
That's true. Copa Tejas. I mean,
we'll take it.
Hey, I also want to do a quick shout out to North Texas SC, who are now on an eight match unbeaten run. They went to Union Omaha, a very tough place to get a result at, and got a draw. And honestly, the refs are just hosing them left and right. I mean,
one of the penalties was just as obvious as you can get. I don't know.
In all honesty, though, I will say I don't think it's biased or anything, because the reffing in USL League One has been atrocious across the board. It's just kind of sucked that it looks like they could have gotten 3 out of there had certain calls gone their way. But still, I'm pretty excited about that. Currently tied for 3rd place, and they got 5 of their last 10 at home, and 3 of their road matches they got remaining are against the 3 teams at the bottom of the table. So I don't think this run's going to end anytime soon. I'm not saying they're all going to be wins, but as long as they keep getting a point here and there and a win here and there, I think a 3 spot in the playoffs is within reach, and a 2 spots possible if either Union or Chattanooga stumble.
All right. Well, good. Thanks for that update. Well, let's leave it there. Remember, of course, to check out bigdsoccer.com for some reflections and writing and news and coverage of the game of the past week and of the upcoming Real Salt Lake game. And, of course, probably a little bit of United States men's national team World Cup talk this week as well. A lot to look forward to, a lot to follow. And, of course, subscribe to our podcast if you can't catch us live. We'll be back next Monday night. Have a good one, y'all.
Yep. Good night.